Welcome to the Speak of the Devils Untimed Down, our weekly supplement to our main show. I'm Brad Denny with 3TV.
And I'm Joe Healy with DevilsDigest.com.
All right, Joe, we are in kind of the slower part of the football offseason. Of course, though, we have seen the Diamond Devils get off to a roaring start, but now we're going to change things out because this is the perfect time of year to get a little creative and really dive into some fun season content.
You know, Brad, we are living in this landscape of college sports where you kind of expect the unexpected. You're not really surprised by craziness popping up in the news cycles, seemingly day after day after day after day. And one that we've noticed recently, and this mainly applies to like men's college basketball, as I'm sure all of you have seen, a number of players who either were drafted into the NBA or maybe played in the NBA or basically have that professional experience are attempting to come back and play college basketball, which is a wild concept, something that just a few years ago I'm sure would have blown all of our minds. But now, again, we expect all the madness. So we thought, let's have some fun with this. Let's look back in the annals of Sun Devil history across all sports, and let's do a draft. It's been a bit since we've done a draft here on Speak of the Devils. So what Brad and I are going to do today is we are going to pick 5 former Sun Devil student athletes each. And these are the ones that we want to bring back to Arizona State to play. So here are the rules to the game. We can only pick one athlete per sport per person. Now, we can each dip into a sport. So let's say Brad takes a football player. That doesn't make all football players off limits for me. We can each take one, go about our business. Among the 5 that we pick, we have to have at least one women's student athlete. Now, also, we're thinking of these players when they were in their prime. So not even necessarily when they competed at Arizona State. Just think of the best that this athlete has to offer, which is likely going to be at the professional levels. That's what's coming back to ASU with what we're doing here today. Now, one thing that we will add is just out of respect, we're not going to include any athletes who have passed away. And also, we're not going to include any sort of current athletes as well. Again, this is a little dip into the past, a little history lesson for you here. And we can talk about the best players. We can talk about the best fits for, the current state of the respective programs. So we're going to have ourselves quite a bit of fun with this. Now, Brad, did I miss any rules? Do you think I got everything there?
I think we're good to go. Sounds pretty straightforward. And it should be some interesting dives here in picks.
And we're going to need the support and the involvement, engagement of you all out there. Hit the comments. Let us know which team is best. Now, how are we going to figure out who picks first? This right here for the youths of America is a coin. It is a quarter. We are going to go ahead and flip this. We're going to see who gets the number 1 pick. And we're just going to go back and forth. So, Brad, you can do the honors. Why don't you go ahead and call it in the air?
Tails never fails.
It is heads. I don't know if y'all can see it clearly, but it is heads. So that gives me the very first pick in this draft. It is baseball season, so we're going to go with that. And we're going to bring back the GOAT. You want to put him in outfield. You want to put him at DH. That's okay. I'm bringing Barry Bonds back to Arizona State University. We're talking Barry Bonds maybe circa like 2002, when he was breaking records with the Giants. So that's what we're bringing back. Of course, he was a legend at Arizona State, went on to his professional career and obliterated major league records. I am a firm believer that you got to put him and many others who are kind of lumped in with him in the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's a conversation for another point, but pick one. Barry Bonds, welcome back to ASU. Get geared up. ASU's playing St. John's tonight. Get yourself to Muni. We can put you maybe 4th or 5th in the order. So you're going to get walked a lot, but we want to see some bombs out there, Muni.
All right. So with my first pick and knowing that baseball players are off the board for you, my 2 picks are safe. So I'm going to go to the gridiron. And obviously, as we've talked about, this is going to be a new look Sun Devil team this year, especially in the trenches. Basically the entire 2 deep at defensive end is gone. A lot of newcomers, a lot of talented guys that have an opportunity. But to help ease their transition to the Sun Devil defense, I'm bringing back the one, the only, Terrell Suggs. I want a guy who has that ability to get a couple sacks per game to really help terrify the opposing offense. Now, I will overlook his years as a Raven as we press into a second tour of duty with the Sun Devils. But I mean, to have T Sizzle coming off the edge there with some of the talent behind him with this 2026 group of Sun Devil defense, man, I think that is going to be looking pretty good.
That would have been my first pick as a football player, so a great one there. No brainer. You bring T Suggs back this lineup, the Big 12 is going to be running for its life. So my second pick, I guess the first pick of the second round, it is baseball season, but it's basketball season as well. You know, Sun Devils, there are some guys on the team with some solid facial hair, but we're going to bring back the beard, of course. We got James Harden coming back to ASU. He's had a lengthy NBA career, but you know what? He's going to come back, play for the Sun Devils, get them a Big 12 title. You know, of course, when he was at Arizona State for the 2 years he played at ASU, I think maybe some folks forget that he actually played more than 1 year. Or a major standout, obviously a very high pick in the draft, and he's gone on to a legendary Hall of Fame NBA career. By far the top basketball player, I believe, ever to come out of Arizona State. So you put him in and you have him running the show with Bobby Hurley and company. That alone might get Bobby Hurley re-signed. Who knows? But get the beard back at ASU, and sellout crowds will be watching him play all day long.
All right. So with my second pick, I am going to the baseball diamond. And first up, Joe, did you ever play I think it was a PS2 game, the college baseball video game?
Yes, I did. And I think I know you're going with this.
Okay. So it was pretty, you had a left-handed slugger there as well. And with your first pick, I mean, Jeff Larish, I abused Rural Road with the amount of home runs I hit with him. But since I think that, as we talked about on our baseball preview episode with George Lund, another little shameless call to action for you folks to check that out. I think ASU still needs some help on the mound. So as much as my first gut instinct was Jeff Larish because the untold hundreds of home runs I hit with him in that game. I'm bringing back Mike Leake. I think when we've seen some promising stuff from the 2026 Sun Devil rotation, but the last couple of years, pitching has been a question mark, and the championship teams go as far as their pitching take them. And I can't think of maybe a more heralded name than Mike Leake. Guy went on to win over 100 games at the major league level as well. So I think if maybe we have Mike Leake on the mound with Barry Bonds starting and Nuke Estradas and Landon Harrison up there, this is an unbeatable team on the way to Omaha.
That's a great pick. That's one, especially because I was thinking about this myself, because when we're doing these drafts, we have to strategize. We got to get a couple picks ready, just like any sort of draft, so that if Brad takes a guy that I've been targeting, I got to have that next guy up. And I was thinking about that. This team needs some pitching, and who is the best pitcher, at least that I've seen, this century or going back the last 30 years or so. And Mike Leake right up there at the top. Solid pick there. So for my third pick, going to stray from some of the major revenue sports, but we're going to bring back a major name to this golf team. That's going to be Phil Mickelson. I know a lot of people are asking him for maybe some NIL contributions. So if we get him some extra eligibility, maybe there's some back and forth about, funding some teams, things like that. We can work on the finer details there. But I think that would just be a huge boost for this program, for this university and athletic department. People will flock to ASU to watch Phil Mickelson golf at the collegiate level.
All right, for this is what my third pick now. Opening up the round 3, I'm going to stay on the diamond, but go to Club Farrington, pull a softball legend, Jackie Vasquez. I think that obviously what she was able to do with some of those great Sun Devil teams during her career was really second to none, strengthening that outfield, which is already pretty deep on this year's squad, I should say. But when you have like Kenzie Brown, in that's up, and you add an offensive powerhouse like Vasquez to that lineup as well, I think ASU is going to be real prime to make some big time moves. And of course, this doesn't really factor in, but the amount of stuff that she's done in the years since her playing days concluded to support the program, to really help keep Farrington is out there, a huge Sun Devil supporter. So I think across the board, I think I feel really good about the Jackie Vasquez pick.
And added to that, anytime somebody comes up from the Tucson area to be a legendary Sun Devil, that's added bonus
That's
points
true.
right there. All right, we're getting into our next to last round. And so I'm finally going to make my pick from the gridiron. And I'm going for an area of need. Terrell Suggs would have been my first pick. My goodness, how great would it be to see him screaming off the edges for ASU this year. Of course, we're pretty happy with the quarterback acquisitions that ASU made this offseason. And there's a lot of talent at wide receiver. Could have gone some areas in the defense, but you know what? I feel like this team just needs that emotional lift. They need someone to be able to carry this team on their back from the quarterback position. Who else can we pick but the snake? We're bringing Jake Plummer back. We're bringing 16 back at quarterback. I mean, imagine him throwing to like a Marion Miller and others and just getting the team motivated. What he did in 96, bringing that back 30 years later, 2026. Give me the snake out there every single Saturday this fall.
All right. So for my fourth pick, I mean, we are smack dab in the middle of the Winter Olympics. Obviously, the hockey tournament is rounding into a peak form. And look, the Team USA is doing some really good things. This season so far, ASU's hockey team has really been hit by a lot of injuries. That's kind of, derailed things a little bit, but hopefully they are able to finish their season. As anybody who knows me, I myself am a goalie. I've been playing since I was 14. I'm a little predisposed to those folks in between the pipes. And ASU struggled a little bit so far in net this year. Bringing back program legend Joey Decord. He's still doing some great things in the NHL with Seattle, but from him during his time as the Sun Devils goalie, one of the nation's best. So I think, when you have that great goalie that your team has that confidence in, that you can go out there and play, I think that just, has that great kind of, ripple effect to strengthen the entire lineup up and down the roster. So Joey, welcome back.
All right, we're entering our final round. I'm going to go with a pick kind of like Brad had from the softball team. You look at the numbers, you look at the accolades, and you got to call her the best hitter in program history, and that's Caitlin Cochran. She played at ASU from 2006 to 2009. I mean, listen to this stuff. This is video game caliber stuff. This is things that don't happen in real life all that often. A 4-time first team All-American, 3-time Pac-10 Player of the Year, the #1 pick in the 2009 National Pro Fast Pitch Draft. She's ASU's career leader in batting average by a massive margin. Her career average was 446. #2 at ASU is 391. That's like 55 points ahead of #2. That's insane. She's also ASU's all-time leader in career hits, home runs, slugging percentage, on-base percentage, runs scored, total bases, and walks drawn. She was a part of that 2008 national championship team for ASU. And in 2019, she was inducted into ASU Sports Hall of Fame. ASU's got a great pitcher on its softball team now. So you bring the big bat back to campus with Cochran, this team could do something special.
All right. So for my final pick, my last one was on the ice. This one's going to be in the pool. Leon Marchand, every time he raced, it seemed like he was setting a school Pac-10 or Pac-12 or NCAA record or world record in some cases. And so, yeah, I like a guy who sets and makes history every time he competes. And we were able to see what he was able to do, recently winning some medals at the Olympics as well. And one of the all-time most accomplished athletes at Arizona State in any sport. So, I like to, strengthen up the swim and dive team, which even, credit to them, even losing an athlete of his caliber continues to be one of the nation's truly elite.
All right.
I think that's all 5, right?
That is 5. That we got them done. All right. So I'm going to recap mine. You recap yours. And folks, again, you got to hit the comments. Let us know who wins. So in our minds, as of right now, these are now, again, Sun Devil student athletes. They're back on campus. You might see them walking around Mill Avenue. We'll see. They'll probably be checking out a Burrito Express before too long. So my first pick, Barry Bonds, back with Willie Bloomquist and company with the baseball program. James Harden back on the court for the Devils. Phil Mickelson back with Sun Devil Golf. Jake Plummer, QB1 for the Devils in 2026. And Caitlin Cochran coming back to just blast balls out of Farrington for the softball team.
All right, for me, I got Terrell Suggs coming back with Mike Leake on the mound for the Diamond Devils. Jackie Vasquez is going to be returning to Club Farrington, and Joey Decord in net with Leon Marchand in the pool. So I think that's 10 pretty damn good selections there of the all-time. So, yeah, definitely let us know which one you think is the – but also let us know your picks, any sports that we might not have covered, or maybe some picks that you think we may have whiffed on. I think that, this could be some fun. I mean, this is, of course, peak off-season content.